Welcome back to Collectively Connected, the podcast where we dive into the issues that are shaping our world. I'm Denise, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host and wonderful husband, Damien.
Hey everyone, we're thrilled to have you with us today for a very special episode.
That's right. Today we're discussing a topic that's been making headlines and stirring up a lot of emotions. The recent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
It's a heavy subject and there's a lot to unpack. From the immediate reactions to the potential implications for our country's political landscape, we're going to cover it all.
We'll be sharing our thoughts, diving into what we know, and exploring what this means for the future. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's get into it.
This is Collectively Connected. Let's get this conversation started.
Hey, babe.
Hey.
Oh, so we're coming together to talk about our thoughts and our feelings, our reaction to what happened yesterday. Yep.
Yeah, this was like, I forgot what I was working at. I saw it was like a breaking news. At first I thought it was like Trump saying something, but it said Trump gets shot. And so that was the first time that I had saw what was happening. I clicked it open and it said Trump was shot at a rally in Pennsylvania. And so I was like, oh.
I know, we were on the phone when I think you came across it. And I was driving home from meeting a client of mine, and I had not even looked at my phone, but me and you were talking, and you mentioned that. And then I got home and I got busy. I had another phone call and I saw it afterwards, and more so today is where I've kind of started diving into it.
So since you've dived into it, what have you seen so far? What are your thoughts with all of this?
I see the shooting. My initial reaction is like, oh my God, somebody attempted to assassinate Trump. Like, wow. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't really spend a lot of time really analyzing or thinking about it. But today, as me and you were talking about it, and I was looking through my feed, and the reactions of it could possibly have been a staged assassination attempt. And you know, I remember reading yesterday that somebody was saying, if there's a shooting, why aren't these people running? Like, why are they staying in place? When you think about any other shooting, any new mass shooting anywhere, people flee. They don't stay to cheer the president on. At least that I wouldn't. The fact that nobody ran. You didn't see not one single person that was standing behind them attempt to leave. They just dropped down. So I don't know.
So it's staged.
I mean, that's what I got today, right? That I was reading that, and now it's making me analyze it. Now I'm going back and I'm looking at the video and really analyzing it and kind of saying, well, why did they run? Were they all in on it too? Which I doubt it. I doubt the people, but I don't know the people that are always like standing behind the president. I don't know who they are. Unfortunately, they said somebody got shot and died. I think after doing that, yeah, I do believe that. That's what I get when I watch it, when I start to ask questions and seeing if the answer of the questions I'm asking are in the video. There's different angles. And
who do you think staged it?
I think it makes me want to ask who benefits from it. Because why would he have to stage something like this?
Who?
Trump. I mean, he has to be in on it, you know? Because if it's a stage, he's not gonna know that he's about to get shot in the ear or nicked in the ear. It's just interesting because my mind's still kind of like rolling with what the possibilities, or why, how, who, when, where, what. I mean, what are your thoughts? What do you think of the video itself? What were your initial thoughts of it?
Well, my initial thought was, holy shit, it's getting real. That's whether you're in politics or not, that's wake up and tune in to whatever's happening, because that doesn't happen too often. Normally, you know, if it's a big race, everybody's just talking about the other, so that's usually like, okay, we've heard it before, there's nothing really like getting your attention. So that got my attention initially and had me tune in. You know, I'm not saying I'm a huge Trump fan, but it's going to get anybody's attention. So when I'm looking in at it, You were saying your perspective was that it's staged. I like to look at, how do we get here? How did this particularly happen? And so I'm thinking, okay, because Trump was talking, he turned his head slightly, I think before the shots had gotten fired, and there's a whole bunch of different video angles that I'm like looking at. But the first thing I'm thinking is, how did the shooter even get up there to even take a shot? What is Secret Service doing? Because when I'm looking at the whole video, there's like 4 or 5 guys like huddled around him. But the first thing that I'm looking at is like, you guys look really sloppy.
Yeah, they really did.
I'm not a Secret Service guy, but I know how things need to get done and should get done. And had I been in the Secret Service, if I was a captain or the main person in charge, I would say you guys are all fired. You guys look like shit out there. Right. You look like garbage, and you look like you don't really know what to do if a situation like this happens. I saw a lot of confusion, and that was kind of really disappointing to see. And once again, I'm not defending Trump at all. I'm just talking about how we got here. So that's number one that I saw. The Secret Service just looked like a hodgepodge of just amateurs out there.
Well, and they left them so exposed so many times for, like, when you think about seconds or however long, it just seemed like a lot of time where he's just hanging in between, and they're trying to put arms up, but they weren't in no rush, it didn't seem like.
Yeah, when it came to protecting a president, I'm not even Secret Service, but I would think my initial thought should be, you contain the president, get him out there ASAP. He should have been rushed off that stage within seconds, with bodies all around him shielding him, and you're slowly walking towards an armored vehicle. That should all happen within a couple of minutes, is what I would have expected.
Not even a couple of minutes. The truck was right there.
The truck was right there. So I just felt for Trump to kind of sit there and throw his fist out. And he got a huge round of applause for that, and I get it. You're going to really rally a lot of people.
But why are they... People just got shot, and we're sitting here paying attention to how Trump is reacting to it and not worried about our own lives.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of how, like, I guess I'm looking at it from somebody in the States, because I have gone to rallies before. I don't know that we would all be standing there cheering Kennedy on, or Trump on, or Biden on if they just got shot out. I'm sorry. If I'm there with my family and my kids, I'm looking at my kids.
Right.
I'm worried about them, their safety, and how do I get them out of here?
So here's another angle to throw at you. I was looking at an interview, and there was a guy that was actually saying that they saw a man with the rifle going and scaling a building. They said that they had contacted police, and the police were almost acting like they didn't know what he was talking about. Like they looked.
It was a person in the crowd.
Yeah, he was a regular person.
And he's telling
he was telling the police, and I think even the Secret Service were just acting like they don't really even know what's going on. And for me, that's really hard to comprehend, that you guys, number one, you would allow an opening like that for some random guy to scale a building, pull out his rifle, and start taking shots. I was looking at the angle of where the rally was and where the Secret Service was. I think they have like counter snipers that are always kind of looking for buildings, and it's like, you guys didn't have anybody on this perfectly scaled building that has a clear line of shot, for Trump, and you guys didn't have anybody over there. Like, that's really hard to really kind of comprehend. And you guys are supposed to be the best of the best. Your Secret Service, that's a colossal failure for one. So I get your angle where if it was an inside job and all of a sudden they're looking the other way, and especially if there's a Trump supporter saying, hey guys, pointing to a building, this guy's crawling up with a rifle and he's watching it happen, and nobody's doing anything about it, that's a tough pill to swallow.
And he said it. He was there for like 3 minutes. Pointing at this guy, telling me, like, a lot. 3 minutes is a long time when something like this is going down.
Absolutely.
It's a long time.
So
who benefits from this? If it is rigged, that Secret Service is looking sloppy, and he has time to fist pump and be totally exposed, and the crowd is cheering for him. Who benefits from this if this was staged? Why would they stage something like this and kill somebody in the process, because somebody did die?
Yeah. There was a couple that were critically wounded as well, from what I had seen at least.
And we haven't even brought up the shooter himself, who was a 20-year-old kid. Has he practiced shooting before? What do we know about this guy? At this point, they probably know everything. Share it with us.
Right.
We have a right to know.
That's definitely something the American people should. We
Like,
should
when was the gun bought? Has he done shooting at this range before? Or did he just purchase the gun? And was he on any medications?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes that stuff messes with their brain, and because some of the school shooters, they were on, I don't know, Adderall or some kind of medication. So I'm curious to know if he was on anything.
Yeah. So his mental state,
yeah,
his background, I think that's definitely something that they should look into a lot. Was that his gun? Was that a parent's gun? Does he have training? You don't just get a gun and all of a sudden you just have a perfect line of sight within a couple of minutes on a rooftop, and you're taking pretty good shots. Do you have a background in shooting? Like, those are some questions that I think people should really want to look into. But once again,
and who had him do it?
Well, I mean,
or did he do it because of his own? What is he?
Is he a Biden supporter?
Right, a radical Biden supporter.
I mean, is he?
Like,
so now we get into motive. What would drive someone to want to do that? And I think that's what comes to. We have such a, I don't want to call it a hatred, but I just feel like the party opposition with Democrats and Republicans, it seems like it's just getting more and more tense.
It's like the divide.
Yeah, that divide that's going on. It's almost like I hear these words in articles, and people are using disgusting and just threat to like all of these really tough words.
You are big with the words. Look how strong of like a adjective they're using.
Exactly.
Like,
and so if you are, let's say, a 19-year-old kid, doesn't have a lot going on, 20-year-old kid, and you're hearing these words, it's going to make you feel some kind of way. Let's say you were picked on in high school or something like that, and this is all theoretical stuff, but let's say you were a Biden supporter and they're throwing these words around that Trump is just going to destroy the country. You're some kid saying, well, I can't let that happen. I'm going to take him out. Maybe we'll get more information as they start releasing that. I don't know much about the person. I'm just throwing some theories out there. But
you did check out his social media.
Right? It was. I tried to. Mm-hmm. It was Thomas Matthew Croks. Croks. Yeah.
Croks.
Yeah. It was one of those. I'm sure they'll be released all over the place and stuff. But that page was private, so not really much information.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look into it in depth, so I just wanted to talk about my initial reactions. But yeah, like I say, to have him, even if he was out of his mind and wanting to take things into his own hands, Secret Service couldn't thwart a 20-year-old kid? Hold on, guys.
Who was exposed with
his rifle on a
crawling
rooftop?
Up a ladder to get to the roof of a building? That's what happened,
exactly.
Right?
Well,
while somebody's pointing him out,
saying there's a guy
3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes before the shots were fired.
And you guys just didn't react to that? What was going on?
What
was
more important than to make sure the president doesn't get shot?
Yeah. So that to me,
it just seems very comical.
It does.
Like when you really start to like paint the picture from all these angles, it's almost laughable. I shouldn't say that because somebody did lose their life and there's injured people, so I shouldn't say that. But yeah, so I'll stop there because I think the big question is who benefits from this and why? What would they get out of it, right?
Well, you kept saying who benefits. This is a shooting, so I'm trying to look at it from a couple of other different angles. Was the intent to make an attempt to rally people behind Trump? And if so, then he's a pretty good shot then if it was just meant to have a grazing bullet. Because there's probably professional snipers out there that, yeah, I can just graze your ear. It'll make it look like some action, like I was trying to get to you, but you're not really going to suffer much damage. It's a couple of stitches and you'll be right back to work the next day. So that's a highly professional type of act. I don't know who this kid is. But if, like you were saying, if it is staged, because if somebody's actually trying to take him out, you hit him in the chest, and you're going down.
Say he wasn't skilled. Was that a failed attempt on his end? Or is he just a fall guy?
Well, and I think when it comes to any types of attempts on any type of figures or just bigger name people, you can even look at the Kennedy assassination in 1968, of how that was, and really diving into that sniper that took him out, I think, from the bridge. And I think that guy was like a fall guy, or he was put up to it by other people, and that's a whole different wormhole that people can or can't go down. But I mean, is this kid acting alone? Did he tell somebody? Does he have a group of people? There's a lot of different questions that can really go up from there. Initially, I would say, to answer your question, who benefits? I would say Trump benefits from this, because him having that fist out in the air, he's rallying. If people weren't already rallied behind them, people were really rallying behind, saying this guy's a gangster. He survived. He's a convicted felon, got shot at, still walking. A lot of people would really rally behind that message. So
okay, so you're saying that Trump benefits from this because he'll get a lot of people thinking, oh yeah, you're badass,
tough,
you're tough, and you're but so for what? To get more votes, to get his people, his Trumpsters, like solid Trumps, like you're not going nowhere. You love this guy. He took a bullet for you, right? Is it to anchor those voters down?
It is a rally.
Right.
That's what rallies are meant for.
Right.
That's what all rallies are meant for.
Where else would it go down?
I mean,
this person wasn't breaking into his home, trying to do it quietly into the night.
Exactly. And that's a different story. There you go. So it's like, if it's going to be that way, then wouldn't you want to go into his home where there's not really many people around?
Unless you're trying to rally.
Exactly.
Get a good rally. A lot of people are watching.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So I think this just happened yesterday. Me and you are just kind of trying to like ask questions and see what we've seen so far, if it even answers some of those questions. And
I haven't looked into it super heavy, so people might already have answers to these questions. I don't know much about the kid. I just know there was a name that was put out there. Is it him? Is it not him? I don't know.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, this isn't our job either.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not an investigative attorney.
We're just sitting here sharing the conversation that we're having about this in our home.
Yeah.
What's happening? How does it make you feel? Like, from seeing this guy is running for the president of the United States. There's a lot of drama going on in the United States. Everybody knows that the world is watching. And, like, how does it make you feel that there's an attempt on it? Even though you're not a Trumpster and you're not pro-Trump, you don't hate him, but I don't know if he's going to get your vote, right? We know what Kennedy stands for. And so I believe that's where our votes are going, right? But there's still 4 months left, so we'll see. But how does that feel, knowing that there's that attempt for Trump? If there's been possible attempts for Kennedy, like, how do you feel that people are trying to kill people who are running for the president? And is this happening to Biden? Because if it ain't happening to Biden, it's like, well, if it's happening to the other two major players here, like we spoke about before, there's plenty other people, but these are the three major players to actually get into the White House. Right. And if there's an attempt on Trump and there's an attempt on Kennedy, but no attempt on Biden, it all makes it's like, and with what happened during the debate too, he knows he's not going to win. I mean, all the polls show him not winning. But I also believe that Trump and Biden are one of the same. So if this is a rigged thing for the establishment with this, which is both red and blue, which is both Democrat and Republican, staging this, it's almost like to get more of these votes so that Kennedy doesn't have a chance. But the fact that we're seeing that the potential stageness, it's rigged. Like, are we being duped here? Are we trying? Oh, you guys are just a bunch of idiots. But I think, going back to my initial question, how does that make you feel to know that this is happening in our country at this time?
I would probably say disappointed. My initial reaction, which I think is most initial reactions, is anger. And I feel like anger is fueling a lot of everything of what's going on. When I look at just how Trump talks to his followers, I feel like he's really good at revving people up. And sometimes it's not in a positive way. And I feel like a lot of his supporters, they can get very itchy for action. Like we're the kind of people who we don't F around. We're going to get stuff done. The tough guys like rallied behind Trump, and I feel like he rallies behind that. And so I would think that with this happening, those type of supporters would really tap into that anger as their initial reaction. You asked me what mine is. And so that's why I didn't want to say angry, because I could see how it would be a perfectly normal reaction to be angry at what happened. That's your guy. That's my president. That's my guy. I was going to vote for this guy. You're not going to take out my guy. And so I feel like is that the kind of people in society that we want to become? Is leading by that reaction. I say disappointed because the fact that once again how we've gotten here, that we're going back into another cycle of anger. Now it's the left did this, or the left are behind that, or whoever you're going to blame. People are going to blame somebody, and people are going to come out in droves to blame someone.
It's like they're trying to take advantage of this heightened emotional state of the country and the world. I mean, there's so much going on around the world.
Exactly.
But in our country, it's almost like, how do we rev them up a little more?
Exactly.
How do we make them more angry? Because obviously Republicans are going to think Democrats did it. Mm-hmm. And so more of this divide, more of this separation, getting farther and farther from each other, when really we have to be going the opposite way.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I said disappointed, because when I look at where we're trying to go, where we should be going as a people, as citizens, as a country, we should be leading with love and unity. But it seems like we're going to be taking another step back. So that's why I said disappointed, because with where the country should be going, with exposing what's really going on, the corruption that's really going on, now there's going to be a lot more fighting amongst ourselves, less communicating, and when you're angry, you're not very likely to listen, to reason. And so that's a really strong emotion to lead by. Nobody makes great decisions when they're angry. Nobody makes rational decisions. Nobody is critically thinking. You make very poor based judgments out of anger. And so if the majority are leading with that emotion, it's worrisome and it's troubling. But I think overall, to answer your question, it's just disappointing that this happened.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, because it like I said, we need to be going the opposite direction. We need to be coming together, because right now we're at a crossroads. We really are. We're at this major crossroads, and how are we going to choose to respond and react to what took place? Are we going to get more angry, more divided, more broken, more difficult to have conversations, less listening? Are we going to hold on? What are these people saying about my guy? What are these people saying that he wouldn't have rigged this? He wouldn't have faked an assassination attempt. What do you have? And again, you'll be individually at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads collectively in the United States, worldly, everywhere. We're at a crossroads. And are you going to allow your ego to hinder the possibility of seeing the truth? Or are you going to allow your ego to help you to see the truth? Right? Which one are you going to entertain? Because the ego needs to be entertained, whether good or bad. It's which one are you going to choose? We're just at a really big crossroads. Say this is rape. It is this fake assassination. As people, okay, clearly you're just trying to get our votes. Why so drastic, for one? Is it because your words, you guys are feeling like aren't working anymore? And so you have to do this big ploy to anchor down more people to just vote for you for a shallow sense because you almost died? I'm just still trying to wrap my head around it. Obviously, you can hear me through like what I'm trying to just get out my thoughts.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. At first I wasn't I didn't know if I was in complete agreement that it would, when you had first said that it was rigged. But the more you've been explaining it, and you got to think of, what does the average person do or think? What is the average person? So if you're the average person, you're trying to get a vote. I need votes. If I'm a president, I need your vote. And if you're on the fence, what can I do to get your vote?
Hold on. I'm going to stop you right there. Because it isn't just for a vote. We're talking about, we have this dual party who are made up of a bunch of these people run the world. And these corporations, they don't want their time to come to an end. And Biden and Trump represent these corporations, these establishments, big oil, big energy, big ag, list goes on, right? That's what these two people represent. And Kennedy represents us, the people. And so it's not just votes here. It's complete life changing is what we're voting for. More corruption, more taxes, more crime, more war, more bad food, more Trump or Biden. Pick one. It doesn't really make a difference. Or Kennedy, who is, we're going to clean the air, we're going to clean the water, we're going to clean our food, we're going to clean this corruption, we're going to take our country back. And they're losing. These corporations, this establishment, red and blue, they're losing. Wow. That's really drastic measures because they haven't been able to take Kennedy out with their attempts. So it's like, what else can we do?
Yeah, they haven't been able to get to Kennedy because number one, he hasn't been able to get Secret Service. Biden's been denying that for a while, so he's been using a private security detail that's basically powered by the people. We're big donors for that.
Yeah, I think we should worry if he got Secret Service.
Because we can't have a failure like that. Absolutely not.
Oh my God.
We'd rather you keep the Secret Service because, to be honest, I keep going back to that, and that's one of the things that made me angry. Those guys looked very incompetent. Mm-hmm. And if you're Secret Service, you should have a very good plan, and this should be very well rehearsed because you guys are the best of the best.
They seem very Men in Black with their sunglasses on, they're like...
It looked kind of corny to me. And if you are protecting the most important person, you better be running an efficient operation here. Because I'm talking, you got police officers, you've got SWAT, you've got Special Forces, and you've got Secret Service. And if this is the best of the best and you guys look like it's your first day on the job, that's unacceptable. Yeah. But to echo with what you were saying, something drastic would have to happen because if there is an establishment and if it is a uniparty system, as Kennedy points out a lot, there's a lot of corruption. It doesn't necessarily matter who you're going to get. They both represent the same master. And so with that being said, if there are more and more people that are starting to warm up to Kennedy, because I believe, especially post-debate, Kennedy on The Real Debate, after hosting The Real Debate, gained a lot of followers. So I would have said, leading up to this event, that Kennedy probably had a lot more momentum just naturally on his side following the debate. Biden clearly was not, he had lost quite a few steps. I would say Trump was number 2, and I would say Kennedy is who stole the show when it came to the debate. So if you are a uniparty, the establishment, corruptions, corporation, whatever you want to call them, if you are them and you're saying, okay, we can't have a bunch more people following this guy, we need something big, something real big, like we need to shake some things up around here. Because a couple of speeches here and there is just not going to be winning people over, especially since we had a nationally televised debate and Kennedy broke the record for debate views. I think it was on X as well. I forgot how many views he had, but either way, the momentum, I would say, was on his side. So if I'm the bad guys, I'm like, okay, what could we do to absolutely steal this show? What can we do to shake things up so much that one of our guy, any guy, gets the attention back on him? So now that you brought that up, I'm more leaning to where you said it could be rigged. Most people right now are leading by anger, so they're not even seeing that part of the puzzle right now, because once again, that leading emotion of anger is going to block your critical thinking.
Yep.
It's going to block your rationale, and you're out for blood.
Yeah.
And so you're not even getting this far to get this deep into the conversation.
And that's really unfortunate, because now I was asking the question, is like, now what do we do as people? Say it is rigged, right? Like I started, say it is rigged. And I think it's important to really look into what these guys are talking about. I think the time for, I don't think my vote matters, the time for, it's a wasted vote, now is the time where start looking at it, start talking to people about what they know. Because you can get pieces of information just through people. Through your peers, your neighbors, your friends. Like, don't make it an argument. Make it an informational, like you're collecting data. Take it as that. Like you're out just trying to collect data so that you, come election day, you can make the best educated decision. Because every vote matters more than ever in this election. Because like I said, we're not picking just Democrat and Republican. We're picking a way of living from here on out, because it can get worse or it can turn into heaven, or at least we could start to make it that way. That's what we're voting for. We're just not voting for men anymore, a party or whatever. We're voting for a way of life. I think that's what we can do. Start to care. We are starting just to really talk about these things, have a conversation, and really understand what's going on. Be in the know. Because if you're in the know about what celebrity is marrying what celebrity and the latest movie and that's coming out, all this stuff, that stuff doesn't matter. Knowing that knowledge isn't going to change your life, but knowing this knowledge, knowing the knowledge of how important your vote matters, and the knowledge of and desiring to go seek out what these people actually will do for you, that is knowledge you need to know for your well-being, for your life, for your way of living. Right. You should care that much.
It's at least worthy of your attention leading up to this election. It's worthy of your attention to look into every candidate, and we've said this before, looking into every candidate, not even just your guy. Everybody likes to have their guy and not want to see or look into anybody else. I'm still looking into what Trump has to say. I'm a candidate supporter. I still want to hear what Trump has to say. I still want to hear what Biden has to say.
Yeah, yep.
There's other candidates out there as well. I still want to hear what they have to say.
Because I think it's important to give them that kind of attention, because your life does depend on it. What are they saying? Is what Kennedy's saying right? Is what Biden's saying right? There's no real right or wrong way. There's good and bad ways, you know? And which one is doing what resonates with me? Which one is painting that picture of a future that I see myself living in? And I'm going to continue to say this throughout our podcast, because there's a world that I envision living in, and everybody envisions living in. We just have to ask ourselves, is that what we're currently living in? Because we're putting the power in these guys' hands to have a say in what that world looks like. So I think it's important that we have to start asking ourselves, what do we want our world to look like? Thank you for taking the time to listen to Collectively Connected with me, Denise, and my husband, Damien. Remember to subscribe, share, and join the conversation. Until next time, stay connected, my friends.